Hello, my name is Lori Robertson. I'm a fiscal grants administrator, and today we will be going over accrued liability. Our goals to learn today is what is an accrual liability, who needs an accrual liability, how to fill out an accrual liability, and the process of an accrual liability. What is an accrual liability? The accrued liability is for when services are rendered or items received by June 30th, but the invoice is not ready to be submitted by the due date. It is your best estimate of the amount the state will owe you for expenditures your agency incurred for the period ending June 30th. Identifying incurred costs. Have any services been performed for the grant project June 30th and prior that you will need to request a reimbursement for? Have any items been purchased or ordered for the grant project June 30th and prior that you will need to request reimbursement for? For items ordered, you will receive an invoice from the vendor with an invoice date of June 30th and prior. If you answered yes to either question, then you have accrued liabilities that need to be reported or requested for reimbursement. Who needs an accrual liability? Anyone who has received goods or services by June 30th but has not received an invoice for reimbursement. Examples. An agency ordered a new computer. They have received the new computer before June 30th, but has not received an invoice for the computer yet. A company vehicle needed repairs and they were done by June 30th, but the company has not sent an invoice for the cost of repairs yet. If there is payroll for the month of June, but it does not get paid out until the month of July. So if you worked, say, the last 2 weeks of June, but you won't get paid for that until maybe 2 weeks into July, then that will be an example of when you need an accrual liability. Any contracted services such as therapy that are completed on or before June 30th, but not invoiced until July. This year, we will be doing the accrual liability form a little bit different. The accrual liability will be in form stack form, and agencies can report up to 8 contracts at a time. That link will be sent out, and I will actually have it linked on the next slide as well. But it will be sent out in the memo. And so the agency will just have to click on the link, and then it will bring you up to this page right here. And it will just ask for the agency name, contract number, all the information, fiscal year, program manager, how many contracts. And like I said, you can choose up to 8. And so once you click on how many contracts you have, it will bring up that many contracts to fill out. So for example, on contract 1, you will just write the contract number, and then the budget for your fiscal year, the budget that you plan on using, the amount that you plan on using at the end of the fiscal year, and then the amount that you are requesting to be accrued. And then once you're done with that, you can hit submit. A copy will be sent to the email address that is provided, and then a copy of that will also be sent to the fiscal email address. Important dates for invoicing and accruals. All invoices are due on July 7th by 3 p.m. You do not need to submit an accrual if submitted by this date and time. So if you have your invoice submitted by 3 p.m. on July the 7th, then you do not need to fill out an accrual liability form. If you process your invoice after 3 p.m. on July 7th, you must submit an accrual with your invoice. If you do not submit an accrual and you submit your invoice, then we will send that invoice back to you and let you know that you will need to submit an accrual as well, which may delay time on getting payment to you. So please just make sure that you go ahead and submit an accrual. All accruals must be submitted by July 14th, 2025. So if you're not planning on submitting an invoice by July 7th, then please just make sure that you have your accrual submitted by July the 14th. If you know that you have a service or a good that you won't be getting the invoice in for maybe until July 10th or anything like that, please just make sure you send in your best estimate of what the accrual is going to be. And all outstanding grant expenditures incurred before June 30th must submit their final invoice by August 11th, no exceptions. So if you know that you will not be getting an invoice by the July 7th due date, we just ask that it is for sure submitted by August 11th, no later, no exceptions. Anything that's submitted after August 11th, you will have to have prior approval, and it may cost for a delay in getting your payment to you. So please just make sure that all invoices are submitted by August 11th. Important reminders. Incurred costs do not have to be paid for by June 30th, just completed services or invoiced items received. And that goes back to the examples that I used. As long as you have received the items or the goods or the services, then you can accrue for that in July if you haven't received the invoice yet. If you have already been reimbursed a grant expense, it does not need to be reported during the accrued liability process. So if you do get your invoice submitted in on time, we do not need to do an accrual liability form. And do not submit an invoice unless it is the final invoice. I know prior years we have allowed for you to send a June invoice and then a June A invoice. But this year we are not allowing that. So just please make sure when you submit your invoice that it is your full invoice and your final invoice. And we will not accept reimbursement requests that cross fiscal years. If you're submitting a request after July 1st, please be sure to split expenses that occur in the different fiscal years into separate requests. So if it's anything that you are requesting that is for the month of July, not for the month of June, please just make sure that you put that in your July invoice for fiscal year 2026. That will not go on your June invoice for fiscal year 2025. And if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, my name is Lori Robertson. My email address is lori.robertson@tn.gov. If I am unavailable for whatever reason, you are more than welcome to reach out to Wendy Heath and also Robin Alexander. Thank you all and have a good day.